Hi, welcome. Okay, I'm gonna continue my pot swapping. So this one, I have no idea what succulent this is. This is a propagation from a leaf that I received from my sister-in-law, and I have no idea, but it's super cute. I'll try to pop in some pictures of when I did the propagation. It's grown a lot in this cute little pot, but it's time I need to take it out. One, because I do believe that this is one body. I just don't think that this is a good look, although I love this pot, and it's purely, I'm trying to like repot this purely out of aesthetics, I think. And I mean, aesthetics, and also um, I'm having problems with this pot, as cute as it may be. It tips over very easily, and that's a big problem. So yeah, it tips over very easily. I've unfortunately knocked it over, and because I guess it's like top heavy, when it gets like windy or um, I'm having like, I have 3 of these. It was a set that I bought. It was cute, and it didn't, I wasn't really having any issues with them. I didn't realize that I would have these issues because obviously, because I grew them, they were, I started inside in the winter. So at that time, that it wasn't a problem for me. And then I soon learned, after I moved all my succulents outside, I soon learned that this is not the best pot for succulents. Only because it gets knocked over very easily. So I think these did really great in here. As I mentioned, it was a leaf propagation. So let's see how it did in here. It's a very tiny pot. This, I believe, is only 2 inches. And I'm going to move it over to not necessarily a bigger pot. Just like I mentioned, it is also aesthetics. And, this one is actually pretty stemmy. I keep using that word. And as you can see, it did get, I feel like it got leggy. I mean, it's hard to say. And this actually has some farina to it too. So, um, yeah. And look, the roots did great. From a propagation to this, I wish I could remember. I mean, I have all my dates written down, and I have, of course, pictures and whatnot. I could always look it up. But yeah, I definitely propagated this over the winter. So, yeah, it did great in here. I mean, probably why it got so big. And then, as I mentioned, it is one body. So from a propagation, it's easier to get like multiple faces out of a leaf. That I've noticed that happens actually quite often. But sometimes these propagations, they don't pan out. They end up dying for whatever reason. And I think I've mentioned in other videos that I generally propagate. Ooh, I just dropped the leaf, not on purpose. Um, yeah, I propagated. Uh, I do better inside rather than outside. So I'm gonna put it into this pot. I actually had something else in here, but I pulled it out because I wanted to put this in here. I do like, I think I mentioned this probably earlier too in one of my other videos. I do like these long stem succulents to be in a sort of like a skinny long pot like this. This is just very hard to come by because I had purchased this overseas, and shipped via ship, and that was like it took like 2 months for it to get here. So I don't have that many of these. I am thinking about purchasing more of them, but I don't plan on doing a lot of repotting in the winter, only because winter is not that much. They'll be like inside. That's one. And it's not like, um, yeah, it's not the most optimal environment for a root, like any kind of root growth. So, I mean, you can repot and pot up new succulents in the winter, but root growth is a lot more slower, obviously, in the winter. And there's a higher, I think, likelihood that they might not survive or flourish in a new environment, in a new pot. Um, you know, as I mentioned, and I think probably the video before this one, um, I follow a lot of international channels because of weather sort of, um, I don't even know how to explain it, but because a lot of these succulents do come from warmer climates like California, and I feel like most of the succulents that I buy, most of the growers and farmers are in California. And I just, I'm in New York, so it's not the same environment, it's not the same weather. I can't ever duplicate that weather here. And I needed to, like, that's why I stumbled across a lot of international channels, because a lot of them grow them outside. And it was almost like a culture shock, because apparently countries like Korea, which apparently succulents are huge there, which I never knew, and I'm Korean. I never knew that. I know that Asians in general like love plants, but then I can't say that. I mean, I think everybody, it's not specific to Asians, but everybody loves plants, right? I grew up with a lot of house plants. My mom had a huge cactus collection in the house, on top of like just regular indoor plants, house plants. And she still does have a lot of house plants in her place. It's just like, apparently it's like a huge thing in Korea, and I've only realized that after I started purchasing more succulents, and I kept seeing listings that kept saying like imported from Korea, imported from Korea, and then I was like, oh, okay. So apparently there's a lot of like crazy manias in these a lot of them in the Asian countries, and they grow them outside. And so there's a lot of like channels that talk about succulents, and in the outdoor gardens. And um, apparently a lot of them are also in Australia. Um, I see a lot of people in Australia growing succulents outside too. And they have like, they have summers, they have winters. So the weather, is a lot more similar to New York than, like, let's say California. California is just warm all year round, right? Um, and they don't even get, as far as I know, they don't get that much rain. So you can just kind of grow them outside in your garden, in the ground. I would love to, and just keep them outside all year round, and you don't have to worry about it. I would love to do that, except I can't, because I get a lot of rain here, and we have rainy seasons, and just like a slew of, whatnots. So that's why I decided to, like, that's why I started following those international channels, and just like kind of watching how like they grow their succulents. And when I said, oh, I forgot to mention. So when I said that it was a culture shock, so in Korea, apparently these people who grow succulents, I mean, obviously they grow them on their balconies, and they grow them in on their rooftops. They grow them. A lot of them grow them in a keeping farm, so they call it succulent like keeping farm. They keep them in the I guess if you live in apartments and you just don't have the space, you can only grow so many of them on your balcony. So they have these keeping farms where it's just basically big, huge greenhouses that holds your succulents. That you go over there once a week, every day. I mean, I guess it depends on your situation. You go there every day, or you go there once a week, or whatever. They keep the succulents on. They have, it's just like a huge greenhouse filled with just tables and tables of um, succulents. So here it is, all done. So enough of the chatting. I'm very chatty. Only on video though, not in real person. But anyhow, I do love how this looks in this little pot. As I mentioned, I might have to get some more of these because I do feel like a lot of my succulents do get tall stems. As you can see, the one of the ones in the back over there. I don't think I've ever featured that in any of the videos. I might soon. But yeah, I would love to like plant those in these longer, skinnier, rectangular pots. I'm always looking for something like this here, um, and it's hard to find. And also because I'm also looking for mostly clay pots. I do like clay pots. I like the fact that they're porous, and they just I feel like these succulents just do better in clay pots because the clay pots are porous. So yeah, so I think that's it today. I love how this looks. I'm happy that I did the pot swap, and I will keep you guys updated on these. Thanks for watching. Bye now.